Hey guys, welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway, where we're going to take this minivan and we're not going to put it on the track. I would, but I can't. I'm not allowed to. But what I am allowed to do is tell you about this vehicle. And the reason why it's important to tell you about it is because it is new. It's a 2025 Toyota Sienna, and this is the Platinum all-wheel drive. It is the top of the line. And I'm not going to wait till the end of the video. It is $60,000 plus. That's a lot of dough for a minivan. Bear in mind, there are other minivans out there that are just as expensive. But before we get into that, what are we going to be covering today? Well, we're going to drive it, yes, and we're going to show you some of the new goodies that this vehicle comes with. There aren't a lot of changes for the exterior of the Sienna. Really, it's the interior that's the big difference, but just in case you don't know much about Sienna, that giant mouth, this, yeah, it's really not very useful. In fact, the grill is only about that big. So where my hand is, this is the only spot that really allows air in. All of this other stuff here is just for looks. Roof rack important. Now, I was told by an engineer, not a Toyota engineer, but they do like to set them back far, which is better for aerodynamic qualities. And if you look at this, it's about as far back as it can go. The only reason it's not all the way back is to make sure that the trunk can open, so it has that spacing there. It's a Platinum, as it says over there. HEV, it says over there. All-wheel drive, it says over there. There it is. That is the van on the outside. Once again, pretty much the same as it was before. But the big changes come inside. All right, time to enter Nathan's paradise. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, the seats are way back. That's probably because cameraman Cole was hanging out here, sleeping like a G. I'm gonna show you that in a second. Okay, first things first, let's start from the top and work our way down. The top being heating, air conditioning controls, and heated seats. This is captain's seats, so they are heated, not cooled. But then you have temperature control here. So if you turn this on, you can go like so. And I think if you do this separately, there we go. So you can go higher and lower. So once again, you have split controls for heating, air conditioning, which I think is super cool. Okay. You guys wanted to see this. Yeah. Now, I believe when we go down, there'll be a HDMI plug. Yep, there it is. So that is for that. Air conditioning vents here on the sides, which is useful. You don't have any air conditioning vents down here, but you do have these strange and unusual buttons that I've never seen before. What could they be for? Well, I'll show you. First, let's start here. Boom. Oh, it comes with water. No, it comes with a refrigerator. It's actually more of a cooler than a refrigerator, I would say. But if I were to take this out, and this thing's been running now for a couple hours because other journalists have been driving it, this is cold. This is like refrigerator cold, which is really nice in North Carolina, by the way. So you can use this button to trigger that. Now this, I don't exactly know what the difference is between these, but I think this is colder. So this is like what you would give your drinks, and this is what you'd like sandwiches and stuff. It's not a heater. I know that some of these that you could buy aftermarket can actually heat food as well. This one doesn't. But what's that? What is that? This is new too. Okay. So another option that you can get, which is on the mid-level, which I believe is standard on this level, Platinum, comes in this bag. Now this bag here, now because it says Toyota, all you guys know that the bag itself is going to last a long time. I'm kidding. I know it really irritates some people to hear that. So you got some fittings here. Hey, that will go right over Roman schnoz. Look at that. And it has protection. Okay, so that was in the bag, but also, so is all this. This hose with this fitting. And this is what happens. Oh, it works. Almost. I think it would probably, maybe on my gizzard. Oh yeah, that's where it's working. But here's where it works better. Look on back here. I did not deliberately put that there, by the way. But, it's doing it. It's definitely not quite as good as the ones you would get at home, but it is taking care of it. This is grass that's been shoved in there by another journalist, just to make us look bad. And we've been vacuuming and like, see, we got a vacuum. We can take care of most of this, 80% of it, I'd say, maybe 90%, but it works. And it would be, it would work on Cheerios and some other things out there. So this is indeed a fairly easy unit to use. Plugs in over here. Here, do that. Ba-blam. There you go. So that goes in there. And look at this. This is the box that you would empty all this stuff. And you empty it out, and then you plug it back in. There's a little door to go over to close over this, but I took that out so we could make this an easy demonstration. And yeah, that's it. It's just really simple to use. But the important part is it's now available, so you can get it on the mid-level as an option. Once again, standard on this. Okay, so there's a bunch of trims for this van. LE, XLE, XSE, Limited, and this one, the Platinum. There's also a Woodland Edition. It's back, and it has 6.96 inches of ground clearance, which is not a lot. Although it certainly does look like it has a lot more, doesn't it? And I think that's because the suspension, the way they did it, it just really looks like it has a lot more wheel travel, because you can go over boulders. No, you can't, and you never should on this. But what this will allow you to do is to go through deeper snow, a little bit deeper mud, maybe go over some of those ruts that you wouldn't be able to do in a vehicle that has less than 6 inches of ground clearance, which is what the regular Sienna vehicles have. By the way, with the Woodlands, you get roof rack, black. Door handles, black. Wheels, black. And other trim goodies that are black. And one more thing that is very important if you want to tow around 3,500 pounds. Look at that. Now that is a beefy hitch setup there, that is. And it's black. Now, I believe with some of the things that this van has, such as the vacuum and the cooler / refrigerator, you can get that on the mid-level trims as an option. But in this case, with this one, it comes standard. 245, that's combined horsepower engine, meaning, let's come to a complete stop here, if you guys are curious. I'm at a racetrack, it's totally okay to do this, not that I'm gonna go that fast. I'm in sport mode, by the way. Here we go. So, let's see, and there's 60. You know what? That's not too bad. I know it's not the fastest van out there, and for instance, a really good example would be the Honda Odyssey. A lot sportier to drive. It definitely has a more sporty character. Yeah, I know I'm talking about minivans. I would say this one is not as quick, but this does have all-wheel drive, and it is a hybrid. One of the other really big questions, of course, is whether or not it is up there with the new hybrid that's now out there, which would be, of course, the Carnival. And I honestly cannot tell you for sure. However, I can say this. Toyota has been building hybrids for a very long time. They are the most experienced company when it comes to building hybrids. Their technology is seamless, it's known to be reliable, and frankly speaking, it's something that I think you as a consumer wouldn't go wrong with assuming, okay, this is going to be a relatively reliable system. I've heard a lot of people in the past talk about their Priuses and whatnot getting ridiculous mileage even after having 100,000 miles on them. And that's really what it's all about, right? It's about driving comfort. This thing's not the quietest out there, but this interior, the new layout that it is, by the way, which I think is pretty comfy, the seats, which are pretty comfy, and some of the new gizmos it has, all makes for a better vehicle. And that was their whole point. Toyota usually is if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So that's kind of their mentality. And then you take this and you go up to another level, which is, well, even though it's not broke, we're going to add a couple things to it just because we can. And that's Toyota's way of looking at it. And more power to them. I think that they built a very good minivan. I've said it before. If I were a Uber/Lyft driver, this would be the vehicle I would drive, bar none, because I'd be getting 45 miles per gallon in it all the time, no matter what. And that's kind of the crazy part. You could drive this thing almost any way you want, and you're going to be getting about 45 miles per gallon. I think that's just astonishing. One final note about this before I go through a very cool tunnel is that it is no race car. Handling, it's a minivan, man. So it's kind of ponderous, but it still adheres, and it does a pretty good job doing that. I just don't think there's any major fault to this van other than the fact that if you want to get this one with all the goodies in it, you're going to be paying a lot of money. 60 grand ain't cheap. But then again, honestly, nothing's cheap anymore, right? Okay, the most luxurious interior of all of the Sienna minivans. And I gotta say, pretty comfortable. Here's one problem. This one has, I think it's 8-way adjustability. Passenger seat where the cameraman is has 4-way. So, despite the fact that this is over $60,000, the passenger doesn't have a lot of flexibility. Let's start her up. That is a 12.3-inch screen. That is new. This is, I think, 11.7-inch screen here, so it's a little bit smaller. This screen works quite well. This screen, in terms of using it, it's not the best. The icons and everything work fine. I like having volume control here. That is nice to have. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that's over here is a little bit on the small side, but there we go. You are able to do, for instance, climate. The cool thing here is that you have redundant control, so you can use that, or you can use these, and these are hard buttons, which I like. Temperature control, fan speed, what you want to do with the rear, different modes you're in, and then of course heated and cooled seats up front. Now here's one of my favorite bits. That's it right there. Look at that. LCD rear view mirror. I've said it before, I said it again. This is one of the best inventions ever. General Motors is one of the early adopters to this technology. Others have come along to use it. Ironically, not Tesla, which the Cybertruck desperately used this. But in this vehicle, it is awesome, especially because you have a lot of people that can sit in the back behind you. And that means that if you're in regular mirror mode, which would be this, when you're looking back, you're going to have all those heads and hairdos and everything in the way when you're trying to look back. Having this, it's fantastic, and these work well at night. So I'm very happy with this setup. A couple things just to show you around here before we go to the door control up there. You have everything here to run it as a regular vehicle, but you also have drive mode. So here on the dash, here's normal, here's sport. That's red because red's sport, and I bet you this will be green. Eco. Eco's kind of a bluish, really. It's not green. All right, normal, sport. Yes, this is all-wheel drive. I've actually taken these into the snow before. I've gone into sport mode. I've shut off the traction control, and believe it or not, the rear end, which is all electric power. There's no drive shaft here. The electrically powered rear end absolutely drives on its own, so you can actually get the thing to do donuts all electric, which I think is cool. There is an all electric mode, EV mode here. Really, the only reason you would use that is to go quietly through a neighborhood at a very slow speed. It doesn't really work at any other speed. There's no actual range per se that's an all electric that I know of. Really, this is just for going silent very, very slowly, not to disturb grandma in the retirement home, or Roman for that matter. You also have, of course, the hold control here, and then up here, door controls. I kind of like the location of these, but it takes a little while to figure it out because not all automakers do this. Sunroof controls are here. Here, if you look above you, it's not a very big sunroof. It's such a big van, frankly. Yeah, whatever. But then your doors control, so we'll open this one right behind the camera guy. There it goes. We'll open this one behind me. There it goes. And then the tailgate. Look how far this thing stretches. It's actually really handy, especially when you got to hose off a kid and then vacuum him off for doing something inappropriate, or in my case, just leaving this sucked onto my face or other body part. This is actually very handy to have, and I wish more minivans had them, especially with a long flex hose. So the bottom line is this vehicle worth $60,000 plus? Well, let me put it to you this way. You could buy an SUV with all the same goodies. You still wouldn't get all the same goodies. In other words, I don't think any SUV comes with a vacuum cleaner as far as I know. Yeah, a couple of them have the little refrigerator thing, but none of them have the passenger capacity of a vehicle like this, which is extremely easy by comparison to get in and out of, and dropping the seats is very easy to load. It's very load floor is what I meant to say. Also, it's not that hard to get to the roof. I've mentioned these things before because I do think that for people who are not intellectually stumped like I am and actually look at a vehicle for the practicality of what it is, 45 miles per gallon all day long, all-wheel drive, that completely is seamless, an easy ride, good acceleration, plus you have a vacuum cleaner, which obviously is not my new favorite toy. I just think that these things make so much sense. So even, yeah, for $60,000 plus, with all the goodies in it compared to an SUV, it makes a lot of sense for certain types of people. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll see you next time.